Hello, my name is Wenda Burnham, and this is for Education 631 class. My topic is comparison of the learning objects in open source movement. Wiley, 2005. In this article, we're going to find out that there are many researchers who found out a lot of information that was different from each other. However, they had the same common interest, and their interest was looking at reusable mechanisms and also learning objects being reused. In looking at the definition of a learning object, it is defined as a digital resource that can be reused to mediate learning. And the definition of an open educational resource is a learning object that can be freely used, reused, adapted, and shared. In this article, there were many clusters of ideas about using learning objects. And there were also many different types of strategies that use learning objects to show how they were used traditionally and permissively. And there were the two categories of using these learning objects, one being the traditional approach, is that was just carefully using it as a structural learner to create personalized educational experiences. And as the permissive approach, it was reused for localization of all resources, regardless of their structure, or as effective or efficient as possible. Learning objects literature was like a collection of like journal articles, book chapters, white paper, blog entries. All of those shared common description that was used for references to build upon each other. Now, there was different ways of thinking that the researchers had in dealing with learning objects. For example, Wiley was dealing with using the learning objects as being a very unique article that he had written, dealing with the uniqueness of learning objects, used as a variety of metaphors to describe the learning objects. He used metaphors such as Legos, molecules, all little small chunks of content that made out of a variety of shapes and sizes, but all coming together for the same particular experiment and for the same substance. Now, Hodgins, he believed that the approach of reuse of literature of objects-oriented programming was more so like the World Wide Web used in the 1990s. This was ideal of reusable material as they were dealing with the World Wide Web. Unlike Nelson dealt with the Zandu experiment, and with this Zandu experiment, Nelson tried to show, whereas the hypertext system, this called for the content to be archived in a fixed and unedible manner, so there was no way of making a change or adjusting this way of thinking for the Zandu design. This was more of an open source transcript. So Wiley, who believed in having a more adjustable transcript that can be reused and it could be edited, was different than the Zandu, which was like the open-ended transcript, which could not be changed, which was more of a getting permission from the user in order to make a change for that mechanism. So you would have to actually pay the cost for getting for permissive permissive permission from the owners, and paying the cost for to use their particular website. And it could only be used for non-commercial purposes. So these resources was only for non-commercial purposes. So as you see, the researchers, they had different strategies and they used different type of critiquing for the whole learning objects of the ways of thinking.
Moses,
but they all had the same common interests. They all had the same common interests. So the same interests in reusing educational material were either specific or permissive. And when properly licensed, the learning objects can be adapted and adjusted. So as you see, in comparison to the learning objects in the open educational source, they both have the same common interests. However, the strategies used is definitely different and unique for the purpose of each usage. Thank you.